We will start with a 1 minute, and the other thing is I'm going to try and do a great job with these folks in terms of the same person won't always be the first to go, and the same person won't always be the last in the middle. So we're going to try and mix it up a little bit. It won't be an exacting science, however. So, John, we'll start with you. Would you give us a minute? Just stand, and then if you will give us your minute introduction about why you're so great and why we should vote for you. And then we'll go to Holly, if you do the same thing. Tell us why you're great, why we should vote for you, and then Brian, why you're great, and why we should vote for you.
So I'm dark, and now I'm light. Is what you tell me? All right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's John Stevens. I've lived in Pleasant Grove now for over 7 years. And something you should know, if you go down to the museum, you see that little picture on the wall. It says William Stevens. And he's my great-great-great-great-grandfather. He was called by Brigham Young to come help build the fort down here in Pleasant Grove. And that's something that the Stevens, from the beginning of time, I am told, have had a hard time saying no. So when I had a lot of the people come to me, they say, John, we need you to step up and we need you to serve. We need you to take your experience that you've had on both national and state boards, as a past president of the Rotary Club, serving as the chair of the Planning Commission, as well as just recently got voted in as chair of the Utah County Planning Commission, building these coalitions throughout the nation and throughout our state. They asked me to take that to the state level, build those same coalitions, bring economic development back to our district, because for too long we haven't had that. And with a resounding yes, after talking with my wife and my children, my friends, my neighbors, we said, yes, we will run. And so I ask for your support. I ask for your vote, and I think my time's up. Thank you.
My name is Holly Richardson. One of these things is not like the other. And the reality is, I have served before in the House. I have 24 kids with my husband Greg, who's in the back. We have a great team. 20 of our kids were adopted from 8 different countries, and I still have 12 at home, actually. And they are, if you got a phone call today, my kids did a lot of the phone calling and I did some of it. So we work together as a family, and that's what I bring to the table, is the ability to work together and collaboratively. I have relationships already on the state level, and I've had them for many years. I write the popular Holly on the Hill blog. I've had over 1,000 posts in 5 years, and it is the state's top conservative political blog. I also love people, and I love this area, and I love to talk to people and get their input and work with people. Whether we agree or not, we can find common ground and move forward, and that's what I bring to the table.
My name is Brian Greene, and it has been my genuine pleasure and honor to serve this district for the last 2 years in the House of Representatives. When I came before you 2 years ago and asked for your vote, I made you some promises. They were specific promises on what I stood for. And I am back here today, 2 years later, to proudly proclaim that I have kept those promises. I've gone to the state and I have worked on the issues that you told me 2 years ago were important to you. Those issues are limited government, local control, lower taxes, fiscal responsibility, and the list goes on. But I want you to know that my record clearly shows that those are the issues that I have supported, both with my vote and with the bills that I have proposed. And that is what I will continue to do, should I have the pleasure and honor of being reelected. It's been a wonderful ride, and I guess I don't have time. I'll get back to you on my closing.
Your first question, 1 minute to answer, and we will go with Holly first, John second, Brian third. And that question is, talk about Medicaid. What are your thoughts about Medicaid?
So Medicaid is a state program that we administer in conjunction with the federal government. It is meant for poor and disabled people. And we're talking about Medicaid expansion. Sometimes I think people misunderstand that we have a choice on some of it. On some of it is mandatory, and the state will pay to expand Medicaid under Obamacare. The question becomes, do we expand the voluntary portion? And if we do, how do we best do that? So this year at the legislature, they presented a couple of options. On the Senate side and the governor's side, they wanted to take the expansion portion to fix the donut hole where people who make just below the poverty line were not eligible for the subsidies to qualify for health care. The House proposal said we want to do that without any federal funds. There was a stalemate. It's going to go to the interim session and they will have a special session to decide. So I think we do care for the people among us, but we have to do it responsibly.
She just told me we don't have to clap every time, so I'll make sure. Yeah. So what it comes down to is whenever there's a federal program that comes out, we need to look at the strings that are attached to it. Obviously, we care about those in our state who are unable to provide for themselves. We care about those who, as she talked about, below the poverty level, those who are sick, and the needy. That really is what government is for, is to take care of the health, safety, and welfare of the population. But what we need to do is we need to make sure that we spend that money wisely. We need to make sure that we're not accepting federal money with all these strings attached, and then 5 years down the road, 90% of the bill is being footed by us. This is the important thing for us to understand as voters and up at the representatives as well and the Senate, is to make sure that any time we're looking at accepting federal money for these programs, that we have a way in our state to pay for that. And that's what I bring to the table, is understanding the financial situations that exist within our state, and we'll be able to take care of it. Thank you.
You know, when Obamacare law was written, the federal government assumed that it had the authority to force the states to expand Medicaid. Like they assume they have the authority to make states do anything they want states to do. And when the Supreme Court decided that case, the Supreme Court reminded us all that states have exclusive control over public health and welfare. And that because of that, the Obamacare provision that required mandatory expansion of Medicaid was unconstitutional and stricken down. So as a result, we created a situation where the people that were anticipated to go on to Medicaid, that those who are below poverty level, weren't obligated, the state was not obligated to put those people on Medicaid. That's what we're struggling with at the legislature. The House had a plan that was going to use state money to resolve that. The Senate had a plan and the governor had a plan, but where we ended up is the governor's asked for more time to try to deal with the federal government to come up with a compromise. So we'll see what